So nice to meet both of you, and congratulations on this incredible film.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can you tell me when you first encountered the world of Wicked?
I remember Wicked being created for the Broadway stage because I was designing something else in New York at the same time, and I lived in New York. I still live in New York, but it was the show to be a part of at that time. I mean, I think that the original designer was doing some amazing work that was kind of setting a tone for what the world of Wicked might be, and also created a huge fan base, for those characters.
And for me, I went to, not the opening night, but I saw it in the first year. I have two daughters, and they absolutely loved it. So we celebrated 20 years of the theatre production of Wicked in London during our production. So I've known it for 22 years now, maybe, and seen it when my children were young, 7, 8, 9 times. So they loved it that much. That was my experience of loving Wicked, and then to get to be part of the film was wonderful.
What would you say was the biggest challenge for each of you to adapt it to the screen and to an audience that'd be seeing it just on a big screen and a little more close up than we might see in a theater?
It's challenge with delight was my experience with it, because it offered the designing the film offered this amazing experience of expansive and creative expression with the costumes. But I think the sheer size of the film overall, creating a new original world that made sense within itself, was really important, and how that is reflective of, but not a copy of, what had come before. So that audience members can feel comfortable and feel nostalgic about the world, but they're experiencing it in a brand new way. And I think that was really important, how we were telling the story.
Yeah, I mean, everything Paul just said, but also finding a way to, creating stuff that hadn't been created before. I think Paul's done it with the costumes as well, and with the makeup, to make the artists stay beautiful and be beautiful through every different situation within the film, and yet not let anything swamp them, be it the sets were the biggest I've ever worked on in my life. So I have to say,
Absolutely.
It was pretty breathtaking to be part of this.
Yeah.
I was also blown away by the choreography and just the way people move. And I know that a big part of that is that the costumes, especially the school uniforms, have to stay in place, and the hair and the makeup. It just, what kind of challenge did that present, and what did you do to make sure that those scenes look as polished as they should for people who are just moving all over the place?
The on-set crew. Definitely. I mean, I have to give it up to them. Every time that John said cut, they were running out there and just making sure that everything was put into place. You do your work to, for me, in understanding choreography, movement, clothing, and what, how to make clothing so that it moves in a certain way. I understand that, and then know how to engineer clothing and can communicate that with tailors, and we work our best to manifest that, to create clothing that is flexible, whether it needs stretch or needs to open up. But then you just have to stay on top of dancers moving and reset so that we can do another take. Those were crazy days. I mean, those are wonderful days, but they were crazy days, just because everybody was moving all at once, and the huge cast was, it was vast, all talented, but just vast.
Yeah, we're pretty much the same as Paul. I mean, obviously, we do it all the time for theatre, and you can't go in and repair during a theatre day. And you can't really redo a hairstyle during a filming day either, because you take too much time from John's filming day. So they have to be pretty much set solid, but look like they're not set solid. Be it for Shiz or wherever, whatever situation. They were perfect. You could nearly take them off and put them on the floor and they'd still stand, but they could never look like that. But there's some wonderful new designs in there, which was such a pleasure to work with Paul and achieve all those looks.
Anything in particular that was fresh for the film that really you're very proud of?
So much I can't
was
even
so
name one thing, but
I mean, you know, your work with marble was amazing. You know, just
Oh, yes.
you know, and it was an idea that I had incorporated into the original design of how weather is reflected in her hair, and so part of that was the color choice, and then how it might move. But then Frances, took off on that idea and made Michelle look absolutely gorgeous in the color that you chose, in the style in the multiple styles that you created.
it was the
just
clouds I was
wonderful.
inspired by. I mean, but her costumes were breathtaking, and one of the things that Paul kept throughout on her was really high collars, which of course, on a practical everyday sense, it's totally destroys
It's really
hair. It
difficult,
acts like
yeah.
Velcros. It just rubs it up. But my artist who did her, Sarah, did her hair, the keeping that flow of what was in the costume already and bringing it up right up to the top of her head and adding height. And then Paul always embellished it with decorations, but it was just important that it kind of always drifted off into the distance and made her look like she controlled the weather.
Right, that's right.
When we're talking about things that are supposed to look perfect, I feel like Glinda's hair is its own character, just the way, and the same thing I think with Elphaba too, that, her hair is something that she doesn't associate with as positively. Where did you start with those two and with the actresses themselves?
Well, with regards to just the hair on Elphaba, one of the big things was from the stage production and from having seen Paul's drawings, it would always be she had to have the hat and she had to have the cloak, and you could easily lose any artist in that, and she had to have the green face. And I was very concerned that if the hair ever stayed big, and Cynthia's got the tiniest head, there'd be nothing left of the Elphaba. So the starting point was it had to be tied to her head in the original design. She has no vanity, Elphaba, so she wasn't the sort who was going to take time and do her hair. So it was very simple do's, but just finding the right base for the everyday. And the micro braiding was something that paid respect historically, but also and culturally, but also was perfect for Elphaba and gave her an arc that she could still travel and work in and allow changes from as she grew. We did various shades. We did lighter hair, younger and darker hair, older, but never, I think with the hat and the hair and the costume, we never lost Elphaba, did we?
Right. No, she was always very present. Yeah. And it had to work together for both Elphaba and Glinda. The look overall needed to be cohesive, and they needed to speak together. So.
I don't think this is the kind of question I'd ask in another interview for a different project, but what about the animal costumes?
Oh. Well, I was tasked with designing clothing for animals that were actually going to be, on four legs. I mean, John's idea, his insistence was that the animals would be reflected as real animals, and that objects, props, the ways of getting around a human-made space were created so that animals could actually manage them. So, with clothing, I had to consider how is this animal going to be able to get into this piece of clothing so that it carried its own realness as well. I think that throughout, and we were creating the Land of Oz in a way that has its own inherent realism. Be it a fantasy world, but I think that what John was magically able to do was to create a world that made sense within itself, and it's wonderful to have been a part of it. To create that. Yeah.
And did you have any work with the animals?
No, I didn't. Not with our goat or our
Yeah,
professor
right.
or anything. The only animals I took great care of was the horse, the Fiera's
I think
horse.
there.
We had 3 horses.
That was a lot. That was a lot.
Horses perform different, and we shaved the horses, we dyed them black, we painted them iridescent blue, and we did hair extensions in their manes, so every horse, no matter which one was chosen for the day, they all blended in. So I often Jonathan didn't know which horse he had even.
Yeah, right.
Would you say the horses are more cooperative than the humans?
No.
No. The cast was amazing.
Yeah.
Each and every one. Yeah, they were. I mean, they were a delight to collaborate with, to be in fittings with, to be on set with. I mean, really, it's it was the one of the most delightful casts that I've ever worked with. Collectively.
That's really great. I'm thinking a lot also about the glasses that Cynthia wore and also that Bowen Yang wore.
Yeah.
Just because I don't even know how that's helping him to see necessarily, but I'm not sure that's
That's not the point. No, that's fashion. That's fashion. That's Oz fashion.
What went into, though, especially to Cynthia's glasses, just the way that they don't really go the way you'd expect, which I suppose
Right.
is a reflection of her character and everything that she epitomizes.
Absolutely. I mean, knowing that, when John said, okay, well, I think that she should wear glasses, and Cynthia said, yeah, I think that would be a good idea. So, the task is, okay, what, in the land of Oz, what will feel the most Ozian and the most appropriate for Elphaba to wear. So we went about, I designed a number of different shapes, and we did prototypes of those and tried them out in our earlier camera tests, and this one that was most reflective of the spiral, or of a lot of the spiral shapes that you see throughout the film seemed to be the most appropriate, and they were very simple but striking, as you're pointing out.
And when it comes to designing something for a large group, whether it's the students or it's people in Emerald City all wearing the same kind of outfit, the same uniform, how do you approach something like that where everybody has to look similar enough that you're not going to pick one out, but they still have to be distinctive?
Well, so, I mean, what was a major, interest for me was to, like with uniforms that are worn in high schools even today. I mean, all of them will be the same group of items. You've got a blazer, you've got trousers or a kilt and shirt, and maybe a sweater or a sweater vest or something. But each of those students will take that clothing and personalize it in some way and wear it in a very, the individualized way. And so creating silhouettes that would just inherently be that, where you've got a crop jacket on top of a vest that's a little bit longer, and a skirt, and or a kilt, or a half skirt, half pants, and that was, felt reflective of young people finding themselves, developing their own style. It seemed right for this world of university, of early years of university that we are creating.
What do you think will be most different about your work for the second part that audience will be able to see?
Will be the most different?
We're not allowed to talk too
I
much
would-
about part two, actually.
I mean, it will. I will tell you that it is a continuation of the fabulous ride that the first film is. Even more so. There's much more to see, and I can't wait for people to see the second one as well.
And it's a huge development. There's a real arc
Yeah.
to go through yet, isn't there?
Definitely.
Absolutely. Well, I look forward to seeing it. Thank you both so
Thank
much.
you.
Absolutely.